into September 15th, and let's start off with the iPhone XS. Apple unveiled the phone at their press event on September 12th, and we're going to talk about the iPhone XS, the iPhone XR, and the iPhone XS Max. And yes, that is a 10, not an X, but I mean, who cares at this point? Call it whatever you want. We're pretty sure Apple's just going to make it a number again, like most companies would do with the 11 when that comes out next year. Anyway, so after, falling sales of the iPhone X, Apple was very excited and hopeful to release a brand new phone to get a spark in their sales again. But I would just like to, for a moment, point back to the Samsung Galaxy S9, whose sales have been, after, releasing a nearly identical phone a year after the revolutionary one came out. I don't expect great sales, but I have Parth Gandhi from Tidal Wave Productions. He does his news show called Today on Tidal, which is exclusively technology for now, whenever it's on. We don't know at this point. It's on so rarely. But hopefully he'll have a video somewhat like this. He's probably going to do more on the Apple Watch. But Parth, so what do you think of these new devices?
So, honestly, it wasn't that much of a breakthrough year for Apple. I don't think they kind of pulled a Samsung, meaning in the way that even after they released the S9, there wasn't that much of a difference. People still raved about it. The XS, XS, whatever you want to call it, is kind of just like, it's there. Someone who has an iPhone X already probably isn't going to want to upgrade. But, I guess it is an okay upgrade for someone who has an older phone. It's not really just the most revolutionary thing, though.
So, yeah. So let's talk about pricing now. We'll get back to color when we talk about the iPhone XR, which we'll transition into seamlessly after talking about price. But so, Parth, would you get an iPhone XS Max, which, keep in mind, starts at $1,100, for a slightly bigger version of a phone that already starts at $1,000?
Yeah, it's kind of overkill. I'm not going to say that the Max is a bad idea, because it is a huge screen. Some people want that.
Like, the idea of a big screen is not. Yeah, it's just the price is an issue. Like, the S9 Plus, I would like to point out, which has a dual camera setup, much like the iPhone X, costs only about $800. And yes, that's still a lot of money, but it's significantly less and enough to be an issue.
Yeah, so honestly, let's take that as a segue and into products that are expensive but probably shouldn't be as expensive, the iPhone XR. So that is basically that's becoming their budget end model, and I'm going to put that in quotes because it is still $750, which we were talking about this earlier. You paid $700 for your Samsung Galaxy S8, right? Which is a premium flagship phone. So they're marketing this iPhone XR as a budget phone, which doesn't make sense. It's kind of like the 5C, what they tried to do, a bunch of different colors, but people weren't willing to pay the price, which is, I think, it will be this year's most popular phone, but it's not really.
Yeah, they're trying to make it like some sort of, it's cheap. Like, the iPhone 5C, I believe, was cheaper, wasn't it? Because, like, the iPhone 5 was like $700. It was like $100 less, right?
Yeah, but still, if you're gonna pay that much for a new phone, might as well just go $100 more, get a premium finish, get that Touch ID,
Which it's nice that at least with the XR you do get those features. It is made of glass and metal. It has wireless charging. It does have Face ID, which I'm still not a huge fan of. I will admit, though, I do use the facial recognition on my Samsung Galaxy S8, and it works pretty well. So it is cool to look at your phone and have it just unlock and not even have to touch it. That's pretty cool, I have to admit, but I'm still not sold on it. I personally prefer Microsoft's approach that they did with the Lumia 950, which was an iris scanner. Of course, no one bought that phone, though,
So, honestly, this year's iPhones, sure, if you're upgrading from something like an iPhone 6, iPhone 6s, sure, by all means, go for it if you're willing to pay that much of a price. But if you already have, I would say even the iPhone 7, there's no point, really, because, first of all, this is just an S upgrade, meaning that if there's an S upgrade this year, they're probably going to do something a lot better next year.
Now on to local high school sports. Dominion High School won their game against Fauquier County last week. or not last week, it was 2 weeks ago, 14-7, I believe. I have not fact-checked that, so don't quote me on that. Even though we're news, we don't have all the news. But more importantly is Thursday night's game against South Lakes High School and the Seahawks there. Now, Dominion High School lost their game ultimately 35-7, so that was not a good night for Dominion. But in the first quarter of the game, there was not much. It was just back and forth. Not much progress was made, but in the second quarter, after about 5 or 6 plays, the Eagles did score their first touchdown, and then they did make the kick after that, meaning that they got to 7. They were at 7-0 for most of the game. But then going farther along, if we jump to the third quarter of the game, Dominion scores 7. Dominion does score. Or actually, no. We jump to the fourth quarter of the game where Dominion High School does score 7 points. First touchdown and then making the kick after that through the goalposts. But overall, not a great night for Dominion High School. That was a significant loss to South Lakes High and their Seahawks. And in national sports news, Floyd Mayweather will be coming out of retirement for one last fight, his second one last fight, in the MGM Garden Arena after posting about it on his Instagram account. He posted a video challenging this person to a fight, and this person has also, it's Manny Pacquiao, I hopefully pronounced that right, I have no idea, but both have been heavily injured throughout their careers. They're both tough athletes. We're just wondering, how well is he going to do after being in retirement, after being out of the game for a while? I seriously doubt, or I don't seriously doubt, but I do have some doubts about his ability to win this match. And finally, in world news, Brett Kavanaugh has been accused of sexual harassment. Now, Brett Kavanaugh is currently going through hearings on going on congressional testimony to see whether he should or should not be approved to the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court. And it has been recently, documents have been shown to the court that he had allegedly sexually harassed a girl in high school. Now, he went to an all-male boarding high school, but he allegedly snuck a girl into his boarding room, locked her in the room, played loud music, and attempted to rape her. Now, he attempted to remove her clothes, as well as a variety of other horrible acts he's been accused of doing. And honestly, there's not that much to the story. Allegedly, they were also drunk at the time. Either way, it's horrible. I mean, I don't know. Now, I don't know what our audience believes happened. I don't know the political views of everyone in the audience. But I have to say, while in this particular case, in many cases, it's easy to make the argument with sexual harassment. In most cases, it's easy to make the argument that it did happen because what do the women have to gain from it? Now, I'm not saying that I am taking Brett Kavanaugh's side. I absolutely do not. I do think he's guilty of this. But what I'm saying is that argument doesn't really apply in this particular case. That there is the political motive to prevent him from getting on the Supreme Court. And no, I do not want him on the Supreme Court. But making things up isn't the right way to do it, but I'm not saying this is made up. I do believe the allegations because just from his politics, honestly, someone who doesn't respect the rights of a woman's uterus, I don't expect to have much respect for women, period. So whatever your view is on abortion or not, I am pro-choice, and I am also a self-declared feminist. So I someone who's pro-life to me seems like who really hardcore pro-life, who thinks abortion should be illegal in all cases. That is someone who I think does not entirely have respect for women. They don't respect that women should be able to make their own decisions, because a lot of these politicians who are supposed to be pro-life have actually, like, there was one governor of Alabama or somewhere else in the South, you please go and research the story, it does matter and it is true, who actually he had a mistress, and he had been pro-life the entire time. He had passed pro-life legislation. He'd signed it into law in that state. But he had also, he had a mistress who he had impregnated and then told her to get an abortion. So in much of this, I don't think it's as much about saving the fetus as it is about men wanting to control women's bodies, which I don't think is right. And someone on the Supreme Court who does not agree with Roe versus Wade, that is the law of the land. I don't think anyone who'd want to repeal a woman's right to that medical procedure would have much respect for women to begin with. So that's why I believe in this case. I believe it because of his politics. His politics show he does not have much respect for women or for gay people or for any other marginalized group. It's crazy to think that women are a marginalized group. They're 50% of the population, but it's true. We still don't have equal pay in this country. There's a lot of issues like that. Abortion is incredibly hard to get in many southern states. And I understand that, there is this concern that, people just default to abortion. They won't, they won't take precautions. They won't have safe sex. They won't, they'll use it as a crutch. They'll just be like, oh, it's fine. I'll get an abortion if I need to. But I honestly don't believe that would happen. Abortions do have serious emotional impacts on the mother of the baby. So people aren't just going to be like, oh, it's fine. I'll deal with it later. Responsible people will, still use birth control. So, yeah, I'm kind of rambling on about abortion generally, but let's take this back to what it is about, which is Brett Kavanaugh sexually harassing a woman. I believe it happened, and that's my take on it. And I don't know what you believe. I'm, don't comment on this below. I don't want to talk about this any more than we already have because it's horrible. So anyway, thanks for watching 24/7 News. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and comment about maybe the new iPhones below. Thanks for watching.
It seemed like we're going nowhere.